Welcome back to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here with us today. We are going to jump right in and unpack a seriously fascinating source text. It's one that bridges a thousands of years old story with the exact kind of modern resilience you need today. Now, the text was designed for youth, but honestly, the strategy we're about to uncover is profound for literally anyone. We're looking at a bizarre, ancient military tactic that somehow, perfectly, translates into a survival guide for 2026. So let me just ask you right off the bat, have you ever felt completely outnumbered? I'm talking about that intense, suffocating feeling where you're being attacked from three different sides all at once, and there just seems to be absolutely no way out. The kind of overwhelm where you're desperately looking for an exit door, but everything feels like it's just caving in. I mean, think about the modern pressures just hitting you from all sides right now. You've got family stuff hitting you at home, school stuff piling up on your desk, friends stuff completely draining your energy, and all the while, you are just trying to do what's right. The source material validates this exact feeling, that overwhelming exhaustion of choosing to swim upstream when it looks like the entire rest of the world is just effortlessly floating in the opposite direction. It is incredibly tiring. Section 1, The Ancient Anchor, a bizarre battle strategy. Okay, to really understand this, we are jumping into a biblical account found in 2 Chronicles. King Jehoshaphat of Judah is suddenly hit with the absolute worst news possible. Three entire armies. The text tells us that the forces of Moab, Ammon, and Edom have all united against him. Together, they vastly outnumber his people, and the truly terrifying part is that they are already marching toward him. He is entirely surrounded, the threat is massive, and frankly, the text is very clear here. The king is terrified. But look at how the king actually reacts. He doesn't scramble the jets, he doesn't send his top generals into a frenzy. Instead, he employs what might be the absolute worst military strategy on paper. He calls a fast, prays openly in the temple courts, tells everyone to stand entirely still, and then he sends the choir to the front lines. Let's actually slow down for just a second and look at the sheer vulnerability of step 2. Standing in God's house, right on the holy mountain of Jerusalem, the king prays out loud in front of everyone, "O our God, we have no power against this great multitude, nor do we know what to do, but our eyes are upon you." It is incredibly grounding, right? There's no bravado here. It's just raw honesty. We don't know what to do, but our eyes are on you. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the turning point of the narrative. A prophet named Jehaziel steps up and delivers this massive perspective-shifting revelation to the king. He tells him not to be afraid of this huge multitude, and he introduces this really powerful concept. The battle is not actually theirs to fight. It belongs to God. They just need to stand still and watch. So what happens the very next morning? Jehoshaphat doesn't put his strongest soldiers in front. He takes the choir, the singers, and has them walk ahead of the entire army. Just imagine the scene. They're marching toward 3 heavily armed, massive military forces, and they are just singing, "Praise the Lord, for his steadfast love endures forever." And while they are singing, the enemy armies literally turn on each other and do the work for them. They completely destroy themselves. The outcome? Honestly, it's pretty shocking. By the time Jehoshaphat's army actually arrives at the battlefield, the fighting is already over. There is literally no one left to fight. Instead of a bloody war, the army simply spends 3 entire days gathering the plunder. 3 days of cleanup, all because they sent one choir first. Section 2, Translating the Metaphor, Decoding the Strategy. So how exactly does this translate into our own lives today? Well, the source maps this ancient geography directly onto modern equivalents. And what's really interesting about this comparison is how perfectly it lines up. In this story, the choir walks down from Mount Zion, the holy place of worship, into the valley where those 3 armies wait. Today, those 3 armies in the valley represent the overwhelming peer pressure to compromise your beliefs. Mount Zion, that represents your places of spiritual strength, like a church or reading scriptures. And the valley? Well, that's just your daily life, your school, your reality. You are constantly carrying the strength of the mountain down into the valley of your daily battles. And that specific phrase, "my eyes are upon you," is incredibly important here. The source emphasizes that looking to a higher power in this context isn't some passive surrender where you just give up. It's actually the most active, deliberate step you can take. You aren't angrily attacking everyone around you, but you also aren't quitting to just float downstream. You are firmly establishing your identity and your faith before you even step foot onto the battlefield.
Section 3. Doctrinal Perspectives, Modern Application.
To deepen this, it's really fascinating to see how contemporary religious leaders utilize this ancient text to teach concepts of spiritual protection. Take this quote presented in the source from President Gordon B. Hinckley. "Be of good cheer. The future is as bright as your faith." The explainer makes a very careful point to clarify that this is not just toxic positivity. It's not pretending that the three armies aren't real or that they aren't scary. Jehoshaphat was genuinely terrified. But being of good cheer is a conscious, active choice to focus your vision on faith rather than entirely on the approaching threat. It's faith setting the conditions for a future you can't quite see yet. Building on that idea, the text also highlights a teaching from President Nelson regarding religious promises or covenants. He frames them not just as nice spiritual accessories that you wear to look good, but as actual armor. Sending the choir first is framed as a statement of identity and protection. It creates a barrier that, ultimately, the daily pressures of the valley cannot penetrate if you stay behind it. Section 4. The Christ Connection, the Ultimate Battle. Now, let's dive into a really fascinating theological shift the source makes here, connecting the Old Testament phrase, "the battle is not yours," directly to New Testament theology. It zooms out to look at the biggest picture possible. The source explains the theological view that the ultimate battle in history, the war against sin and death, wasn't fought by us. According to this perspective, it was fought and won by Jesus Christ alone at Calvary. So when modern pressures feel impossible and those three armies seem way too big, the text suggests that the phrase still holds true. The ultimate battle isn't yours, because the final war has already been definitively won. But, and this is a massive but here, you still have to face the valley. You still have to walk down from the mountain. You still have to show up to class. You still have to do the right thing, especially when it is incredibly hard and everyone else around you is compromising. The comfort offered here isn't that the valley magically disappears, but rather the assurance that you are never walking down into it alone. Section 5. Your Weekly Challenge. Applying the Metaphor. Okay, let's bring all of this right down to the ground. How do we actually take a story about ancient kings and choirs and turn it into something you can use on a random Tuesday morning? Well, here is your challenge for the week. The next time you feel that wave of anxiety, when three modern armies are marching right at you, mirror King Jehoshaphat's strategy. Step 1. Be completely honest out loud. I don't know what to do, but my eyes are on you. Step 2. Do one small act of worship before you even engage with the stress. Read something, pray, take a breath at the mountain. Step 3. Just step back and see what happens. You really don't have to have it all figured out, you know? You don't need some flawless military strategy for your life's problems. The next time you are overwhelmingly outnumbered and the valley looks completely terrifying, what if you just send the choir first?